Morning as we go to the Chitas of today. We're holding in the portion of Chumash. Today is Wednesday. We're holding the fourth reading in the portion of Shemais in the book of Exodus. We're holding on chapter 3, verse number 1. Moshe Hayaraya saying Yisrael Chesnekayin. Midian and Moshe was busy pasturing the flocks of Yisrael, his father-in-law. He led his flock after the free pasture lands, the midbar, the desert. And he came to the mountain of God, which is in Chariv. Now she says, he distanced himself from the normal place where people live. He went into the into free land, so to say, no man's land, the midbar, so that his animals would not steal. What it means, the mountain of God, it's Mount Sinai. So now she says, Al Shema Asid, this is talking about the future. Verse number 2, Vayera Malach Hashem and the angel of God appeared to him, Balavas Eish, in the flame of fire, from within the thorn bush. And he saw he saw this bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not being consumed. Now she says, in a flame shell heavis of fire, the heart of the fire, like the heat, the heart of the heavens, in the flame. Do not wonder the tough libas. We have an instance similar where you find that there's not another kind of a tree. Why did he come into a thorny bush? Because as the verse says in Tillim, the Eibishter says, I'm with you in this thorn. I'm with you in your pain. Ukal means ne'echal, could be consumed. So the bush burnt, but it was not consumed. Moshe said, Asudana, let me turn around, let me see what this is. Samara Hagodel Azel, let me go see what this unbelievable sight is. Why doesn't this bush burn? I mean, this bush, why didn't it burn up? Asudana, Zachi says, I'll turn away from here. Let me turn from A to go to B. Ayar Hashem Kisad, and the Abish saw that he turned. Yikre love, and he called him Elikim Mitei. God called him from the midst of the bush. Ayem Moshe, and he said Moshe, Vayem Hineni, and he said, here I am. Vayem Al Tikar Aleim, don't come close to here. Shal na lecha mal raglecha, take your shoes off your feet. Because the place that you're standing, Ad Maskedeshu, it's holy land. Now says the word shal means to take off. Shal, shleif, I'd say. Ad Maskedesh, this place, this holy soil. And he said to him, I'm the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, the God of Isaac, Yaakov, the God of Jacob. Yasser Moshe Panav, and Moshe hid his face because he was afraid to look to look at God. God said, I heard the pain of my nation, affliction. Hashem Mitzrayim, that was in Egypt. And I heard their cry, Shamaiti, I've heard from those that are chasing them. Because I know their pains. Now says it's similar to what it said before, and God knew Yadaiti. That is say, I set my heart to contemplate and to know their pains. So here Rashi explains what we learn of Siddur. The word das, Chachma Bina Das. The concept of das is the concept of connection. That the Eibusha says, not that I heard and I understand their pains. I have put myself towards the situation. I have not hidden from my eyes, neither I have blocked my ears from their cries. Verse number 8, I'm coming down to redeem them from Egypt, in order to take them out for this land. for that land. El Eretz Teva Chava, to bring them to a beautiful land. El Eretz Zavas Chavel of Devash, to a land of flowing of milk and honey. L'makam HaKnani, to the way Knani Etzli Dachiti Amedia Prizi Vayevchivi Vayevusi, I'm bringing them back home. Verse number 9, V'ata hinitzaka sabnei Yisrael, and now behold the cry of the Jewish people. Boy, Eli has come to me. I see the oppression which the Egyptians are doing them. Verse number 10. Therefore, now come and I'll send you to Pharaoh. And take my nation, the Jewish people, out of Mitzrayim. Now she says, and if you ask, of what help will this be? And take my people out, the answer is your words will help, and you'll take them out of there. Ultimately, you have to convince the Jews to go out of Mitzrayim. So God said the Moshe Rabbeinu, that was the first answer. That was the first answer God gave him. First, he said, "Who am I to convince the Jews?" He says, "Don't worry, your words will convince them." So now, who am I that I'm going to go to the Pharaoh? And I'm going to take the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim. Now she says over here, he has two questions. What am I important that I should speak to the kings? Who am I that going to speak to a melech? I'm going to come to Mitzrayim, the Pasha going to let me into the king's palace. Number two is, and even if I am important, what merit do the Jews have? The miracle should be brought to them, and I should take them out of Egypt. Verse number 12, so the Abish answered, I'm going to be with you. And this is going to be a sign that I've sent you. When you take the Jews out of Mitzrayim, Tavdin Elakim Alahar Azeh, you're going to bring, the Jewish people are going to receive the Torah on this mountain. So now she says over here, Moshe Rabbeinu God answered Moshe Rabbeinu both questions. God answered the former question first, and then the latter question. Concerning what you said, who you are to go to Pharaoh. So first of all, this mission is not yours, but it's mine. For I will be with you. That's it. So therefore you don't have to worry. But if I want to get you into the front of the Pharaoh, you're gonna come in front of the Pharaoh. It's not gonna be an issue. That's number one. And this vision, which you have seen in the thorn bush, is a sign for you that I, who is one who sent you, and that you will succeed in your mission, and I will be able to save you. Just as you saw this thorn bush performing my mission and not being harmed, so you go on your mission not being harmed. That's number one. Certainly what you ask, what merit to the Jewish people? Merit to go out of Egypt. So I have a great thing dependent on this exodus. But the end of 3 months of the going out of Egypt, they're destined to receive the Torah. And you'll see that the Jewish people, in 3 months after going out of Mitzrayim, they're all going to be standing in front of this mountain. And therefore, that's why they merit. They merit to receive the Torah at Mount Sinai. Another explanation, where I will be with you, and this is namely that you will succeed in your mission on which I'm sending you, is a sign of another promise, which I promised you. Namely, that when you take the Jews out of Egypt, you'll serve God on this mountain. For you'll receive a Torah on it, and in that merit, that will stand for Israel. Similar to this expression, when the future events serve as a sign for a more distant event, you find that it shall be as a sign for you this year. You'll eat grows of itself. Sancheri's downfall will be the sign for you regarding this promise. Meaning, for that is the land is desolate of fruit, and I will bless you, and it grows in the sea. You see that the Abish says, talking not about the Jews, talk about Moshe Rabbeinu, that's the sign. You will be here to be able to give the Yidden the Torah. You will be the one who will give the Jewish people the Torah. So Moshe Rabbeinu, verse number 13, Moshe Rabbeinu said to God, behold, I'm going to come to the Jewish people. I'm going to tell them, the God of your fathers sent me to you. And they'll ask me, Ma Shemai, what is his name? What will I tell them? Interesting, Rashi doesn't ask any question on this question of Moshe Rabbeinu. There's so many commentators on this question. What is exactly Moshe Rabbeinu asking? What is his name? God said to Moshe, Eya Asher Eya, I will be what I will be. He said this way you should tell the Jewish people. Eya. Shachani Alechem Eya. Now she says, I will be with them in this predicament, and I'll be with them in the other predicaments. Moshe Rabbeinu said to him, the Lord of the universe, why should I mention to them other troubles? They have enough problems with the God's with them here. We can tell them God's going to be with them again in other times. He said, you've spoken well. So you shall say to them, hey, that I'm going to be with you right now. God said to Moshe, this is what you should tell the Jewish people. Hashem Elokeinu God, the Lord of your fathers. Avram, the God of Abraham. Yitzchak, the God of Isaac. Yaakov, the God of Jacob. Shalchani Aleichem has sent me to you. Zeh Shemi La'olam. This is my name forever. Zeh Zichri L'dei V'dei. This is how be mentioned, remembered in every generation. Now she says, Zeh Shmi La'olam. The word La'olam is missing a vav in the pasuk. La'olam is spelled without a vav, meaning concealed. It really could be to be La'olam. So that can be written that it can be hidden. Since the vav La'olam is missing, we understand that it was La'alim, to conceal, meaning that we don't pronounce God's name. The Yud Kei Vav Kei is hidden at this present time, and we say Adonai. We don't say God's name. Zeh Zichri. God taught Moshe Rabbeinu how to read, and so does by David. So, Lord, your name is forever, O Lord, and the mention of your name is for generations. Therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu was taught how to say God's name, and we say that until today. That completes the Chumash for today. We continue in the Tanya of the day. We are in the middle of chapter 12 of Tanya, where the Alter Rebbe is explaining the Avodah of a Beinoni, which the whole book is called Sefer Shel Beinonim, the book of the middleman, which we learn in Chassidus. Everybody has the capability and responsibility and the obligation to be a Beinoni. Even as you're going to learn Tanya, that a Beinoni is extremely high darga. It's not an easy thing to be a Beinoni. But the Alter Rebbe says that even though it might not be an easy thing, as he says, it's going to be a machama, it might be a war, a continuous war, and an obligation. Nevertheless, it's an obligation, and every single one of us can do it. So in the Beinoni, this desired divine soul in his brain, that is alone pervades his thought, speech, and action that we learned. So the Alter Rebbe explained that the Beinoni has, the middleman, has both his Yetzer Tov and his Yetzer Hara, both his Nefesh Elikis and his Nefesh Bahamis. Both of them are alive and well. And both of them are fighting over the existence, over the power of the body, especially over his three garments, his thought, his speech, and his action. And the godly soul is in full control. That's the Beinoni. That even though the animal soul is fighting for control, and he wants to get involved, he not only wants to get involved, he wants to get control over his nefesh habahamis, over his thought, speech, and action. The godly soul does not let it. So the second it comes into his mind, The godly soul pushes it out. His seichel says, I'm going to think about something else. So as Alter Rebbe said, start learning Torah. But if the divine soul of the Beni indeed dominates every area of a practical expression, alone dictating his thought, words, and deeds, so why is this guy not considered tzaddik? You would think such a person would be a tzaddik. Such a person that never thinks, speaks, and does a sin is not a tzaddik. Why isn't he a tzaddik? That sounds to me like a tzaddik. The Alter Rebbe says he's not a tzaddik. The tzaddik klal. He's not a tzaddik at all. Why? For the dominance of the light of the divine soul has over darkness of the folly of the klippa, which automatically is dispelled. The skull is limited to the divine soul of formation of three garments, only in thought, speech, and action. The divine soul of the Beni dominates the animal soul. But the essence and the core of the divine soul does not dominate the essence core of the animal driving of clip. It doesn't change the animal soul. The animal soul is still there. And that's the problem. The problem is he hasn't transformed his nefesh habahamis. He still has a nefesh habahamis. As long as he has an animal soul that wants to have physical pleasures or wants to be involved in physical desire, that's it. So he's not a tzaddik. Because the Beni, for the Beni, the essence and the core of the animal soul, originating in Klippa, which is lodged in the left part of his heart, remains undisturbed. That's it. It's not disturbed. It does not given right to work. It's not given right. It's not given dominion. But it's not that it's been transformed, not displaced by divine soul. And therefore, so therefore, the second the guy finishes davening after prayer, the second the person finishes davening, when the burning of love of God is no longer revealed state in the right part of the heart, as it was during the prayer, when the love of God glowed openly and is palpable, felt there. That's what happened. The second a person finishes davening, or the second he finishes, he leaves learning, he's back to his animal soul. He's back to his animal soul. Rather, the love after prayer only in the inside of his heart, in the inlaid hidden love, meaning that the love which is natural to the divine soul, not the revealed love born of meditation that the Beni experiences during prayer, but a natural hidden love of God. Sure, every Jew loves God. I'll explain later that we have two kinds of Ava. We have an Ava Mesuteres. Every Jew loves God. That's his DNA. That's his nature. That's his essence. But it's hidden. It's called Ava Mesuteres. Ava Mesuteres. Very important. The word, two words. Chassidus. Ava Mesuteres. A hidden love. We're not looking for Ava Mesuteres only. That's what's given to every Jew naturally. We're looking for Ava Gluya. So how do you reveal Ava within yourself? How do you reveal Avas Hashem? How does one bring out a love of God within himself? It's only through the concept of meditation or contemplation, when a person thinks through his brain and he creates an Ava Hashem. By a human being, we have a love, a natural love. Adam Eivas Atzmei. We have a natural love for Gashmis. Adam Eivas Atzmei, a person loves himself. He loves his body. He loves his physicality. And therefore, he loves to eat, and he loves to drink, and he loves to sleep, and he loves to whatever brings Tainig Anef, Tainig to his body. He loves it. It's a natural thing. It's a natural thing. You don't have to work. You don't have to sit and contemplate to love yourself. You love, every person loves himself. Doesn't think that hard. But when it comes to love of God, which is only an Ava Mesuteres, It's a hidden love. So to bring that love out into the revealed, you have to think about God. If I'm not going to think about God, if I'm not going to contemplate God, as Alter Rebbe said in the beginning of Tanya, if I'm not going to contemplate the way God fills the world, the way God is above the world, the way God everything to the world is nothing. If you're not going to contemplate in the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's what the whole prayer is, and that's why the Alter Rebbe says right over here that this hidden love is revealed in Tefillah, because Tefillah prayer is there to bring out Avodah Shebelev. Prayer is called the Avodah of the heart. So the Avodah of the heart is revealed in prayer. So if we pray correctly, if I pray correctly, if I daven correctly, I have the capability to take this Ava Mesuteres, this hidden love, and bring it out, Bigoli. Question is, after I leave prayer, how do I live in the world and bring out this Ava Mesuteres? The second I leave the prayer, my Ava goes back to its hidden love. Now I'm back to what's my revealed love. I love myself. I'm going back to the world. And that's what happens. What can happen then after prayer when the love of God is no longer revealed in his heart of the Beinoni? What can happen? I go back to self. I go back to my natural love of myself, which is Gashmis. And then it's possible. What can happen is that my Nefesh Abraham you're back to yourself. Back to ourselves, okay? When it comes to ourselves, we can start fooling ourselves. And we can fall into the folly, so to say, the folly of the Nefesh Abahamis, the Chala Ismali, which is in the left part of the heart. And what happens? Savis, Taivis, Lacholi, Gashmis, and craving the physical matters of the physics world. Bein beheter, whether it's permitted, except that they be desired and used for means of God, whether at this time the Beinoni craves them for his own sake, for the pleasure they provide. What can happen? Chas v'shalom, bein be'isa chas v'shalom can be totally prohibited. God forbid. And what happens? Ki'ilu le'ispalo klal. We get so involved with the world that we forgot that we can forget that we ever davened. We can forget that we ever prayed. Did we pray today? Did we pray today? What do you mean? When you prayed, you were in the fervor, you were in the spirit of God. Suddenly you forgot all about it. But craving is limited only that in the case of a craving for a prohibited matter. The Beinoni will never do that. Not enter his mind to transgress in actual practice. God forbid. When it comes to his mind, but the thought of a sin, which are certain respects, as explained in the previous chapter, more heinous than this actual sin itself. What happens is, as we learned before, that since we are Beinoni as a Nefesh Abahamis, so therefore it can come to his mind to think about something. He pushes away. But can you imagine you're constantly pushing things away? So you constantly have an evil thought. You walk into the world and suddenly you start seeing things. And the second you start seeing things, it comes to your mind an evil thought, or you start hearing things, or things that come to you, whatever it might be. Ultimately, I start getting involved in mind in worldly situations, and suddenly I have machshava zadas for a second, and now I have to fight it. And it's mavalva itself, it distracts him from my Torah and Aveda. As our sages say, Gimel Avedas, there are three sins, the Gemara says. Gimel Avedas are three sins so difficult to avoid. B'chol yom, no man is safe from transgressing daily. Vehain, the thought of sin. V'iyun tefillah, lack of concentration in prayer. And slander and gossip. That comes to me every single day. So every single day I have Hirur Aveda. And that's not terrible, because the second I have the Hirur, the thought, it goes away. The second I want to talk slander, or somebody comes to speak to me slander, the Beinoni pushes it away. But the point is, it comes to my mind. And that alone shows that I'm connected to an evil concept. That it comes to my mind to even think of an evil thought, to even want to talk Lashon Hara, to even not have the concentration in prayer. All these showed to me that my nefesh habahamis, my animal soul, is alive and well. And therefore, I have to continuously, constantly make sure to make sure to be on top of the situation. Thus, the Baini is included in the generation of no man avoid thought of sin. So that's it. So that shows the Bainini that he's not a tzaddik, even though he pushes away every thought, even though he chas v'shalom never talks lashon hara, even though he overcomes his thought. But that he can even have a capability to think something evil, that a moment of thought came into his mind, the capability to think, to talk lashon hara, the capability to even entertain a machshava zara, an evil thought, an alien thought, because he saw something when he walked outside, or he looked at something, or something came on top of his screen of his computer. That alone, even though he pushes away Baruch Hashem, he pushes it away, because that's the Bainani. If he entertains a thought, then that's a whole different subject. We're talking about the second it comes to his mind, he pushes it away. He says, I don't want to deal with this. And he starts to open up a Chumash, and he opens up a Gemara, whatever. But that alone, that he came to his thought, that alone shows that he has nefesh habahamis. And as the Alter Rebbe is going to say, that's not a terrible thing, because that's my avodah. Since I'm not a tzaddik, I have my avodah, my service to the Eibishter is to continuously overcome this nefesh habahamis. And I may never ever be able to transform it, but that's my avodah. And every day that I overcome my nefesh habahamis is a day of victory in my service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in my service of God. But the Alter Rebbe first wants to put a concept that he should realize that a person that does everything right doesn't mean that he's a tzaddik. Tzaddik would never even entertain an evil thought. That I entertain it because I've left my prayer, I've left my secure holy place, and now I've left that secure place, and now I've gone into a insecure environment. That automatically gives us that concept. You should know this in general is connected to the Parsha. We find something, the Chazal say, we find something by the Avos, which is mentioned today by Moshe Rabbeinu, that they were always careful with their animals, that they shouldn't graze in other people's fields. They should never do gezela, right? Even though the rest, they always muzzle their animals. They always muzzle their animals to make sure they never graze in other people's fields. So they always went to the fields. They had to. It was a hard thing that they had to take their cattle to the midbar, as it says in today's parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu took the cattle to the midbar. Nobody ever did that. Animals eat, so tough luck. We're walking through the thing. It's going to eat the ground. What are you going to do about it? But the Avos would make sure that the Avos, you see it by Avram Yankiv today by Moshe Rabbeinu, they would muzzle their thing, and it's explained. That's the point, that your nefesh habahamis has to be muzzled. They made sure that even though that's normal, animal to eat, he eats. He's going to walk on the ground. He's going to eat. What do you expect? That he's going to know that it belongs to somebody else? He's going to eat. That's the nature, is to eat. Are you hurting somebody else? No. What should he do? That's an animal. An animal eats. No, the Avos made sure to muzzle their animals. That even they would make sure that their animals would not eat other people's grounds, and make sure to go to the extent to make sure to muzzle their animals and bring to places of midbar that they eat from the non-stolen, uninhabited, what do you call it, hefker, people that not belongs to other people. And that's, we have to train your nefesh habahamis, that he should eat only from places that we want him to eat, not that he's open because it's about myself and it's for myself. I can eat anywhere. That's life. I'm here. It's about me, and I can eat anywhere. I need to muzzle my nefesh habahamis. I need to muzzle it to make sure that it only eats from places that it's supposed to eat from. And if I can control and contain my nefesh habahamis, I can contain my animalistic soul. That is the avodah of a nefesh of a Beinani, as we're going to learn in the time. Today is the 22nd day of the month, which is chapter 106 and 107. If you do those two chapters in Tehillim, you do the chitas of the day. Wish you all a great day. And in Mid Shem, I'll see you all tomorrow. In Mid Shem, we'll continue on Thursday, continue at 8 a.m. We'll continue the chitas of the day. Have a wonderful and beautiful and happy day. I invite you all tonight. We're having at 7:30 at Chabad, 5 different classes you can choose from. And come and learn. Come learn Torah. Learn together. Get more people. Imagine you could have 100 people at Chabad learning Torah, different classes, men and women. Would be a beautiful thing. So I invite you all to come tonight at 7:30. Pick a class and come and learn for an hour.
You set your